If your net worth is under $100,000, this might be the most important video you watch all year. Because most people don't stay under $100,000 because of a lack of effort. They stay under $100,000 because no one tells them the real truth of how to actually start your wealth building journey. Everyone just repeats the same old thing. Budget more, spend less. And while this is true, it doesn't show the full picture. So if you're feeling behind, I'm going to break down the exact playbook I used so you can get out of that starter phase and really start seeing the effects of compounding growth. So the first thing I want to talk about is the fact that no one gets rich off of a budget, but everyone does stay broke by ignoring one. So the very first thing you need to do is just simply know your expenses and how much free income you are going to have every single month. Now, I'm not going to go over exactly how to budget. I'm sure most of you, if you're watching this, are smart enough to figure that out yourself. But what you really want to focus in on are those major reoccurring expenses. And also keep those in mind too. If you ever feel like you want to upgrade those things, just know they are going to be reoccurring and they are going to be large. This kind of leads me into my next point, which is that building to 100K isn't really where you should be focusing on saving the most. It's where you should be focusing on building skills. Before 100K, your income matters much more than your investments. Putting $500 in the market might make you $50 per year if you're lucky, and just catch the S&P 500 on a good year. However, $500 in investing in some sort of skill, especially sort of these new age skills like coding, editing, AI, those returns can be exponential and could be anywhere from like 10 to 20x on your money by just investing it in the right education and learning skills. So the real ratio that you should be aiming for when you're sort of investing in yourself versus the market in these beginning stages is really just what is going to give me the most output for the least amount of input, right? The market is great for long term and you should absolutely be investing, but it is all determinant on how aggressively we are doing these things. And in the very beginning, you need to be aggressively accumulating skills, not necessarily a balance in your brokerage account. Although that is still important, you still need to be having your auto withdrawals from your bank account going into your brokerage and investing into good long-term growth stocks. However, this does not mean that you shouldn't be focusing on your skills. You absolutely should. And this should be your focus, especially in that $0 to $100,000 range. Next thing I wanted to mention is rushing to about $20,000 in cash is going to be absolutely integral, right? So obviously saving isn't our main priority. However, it is up there, and having excess cash flow is going to actually allow you to do these things like take opportunities or invest in yourself, right? If you have zero safety net, it's going to be really tough to go and spend $500 on a course about AI compared to if you have $20,000 as a safety net, $500, you can easily spend that without having to worry about where your next meal might come from. Liquidity is going to be freedom. It's going to allow you to take opportunities, especially in new and upcoming industries, whether that just be in the stock market or if that also means just taking opportunities to learn new skills that you otherwise wouldn't have. So absolutely rushing to $20,000 cash should be your first sort of money saving goal, right? And this can easily be done if you simply budget out your expenses and know exactly where your money is going. This leads me to my next point, which is the first 100K is going to be like 90% of your own self-discipline and maybe 10% strategy. What this means is you need to be focusing on not doing dumb shit and just doing the things that are going to move you forward day to day. Wealth is not just what you build, it's also what you avoid destroying. So what you need to be doing is taking 90% of your time and just focusing on raw action and simply just creating a better environment for yourself and setting yourself up for the future. You don't necessarily need to be planning out your estate when you have $30,000 in the bank. What you need to be doing, however, is learning how to turn that $30,000 into $300,000. So as you start to build wealth, do know that more of your time should be going to strategizing rather than just pure raw action, because you're going to be risking more. But in the beginning, there's not much to lose. So you absolutely should just be doing raw action about 90% of your time. The next thing is that your environment matters more than you think it does. Even if you think your environment matters a lot, it matters even more than what you think. This means putting yourself in good opportunity zones, whether that be, close to big cities, locationally, or within like groups of people that are like-minded and growth-oriented. You absolutely need to curate your environment so that you cannot fail. And what I mean by fail isn't like a minor setback. What I mean is fail and give up on wealth building. You absolutely need to curate this environment to just basically push you forward every single time you may get down. One of the most important things that I want to kind of sign off with is really just that your own mentality and your identity is just absolutely going to determine if you are going to be successful in your wealth building journey. The ideal mindset is going to be one of an investor, not a consumer. You don't want to get, let's say, a $10,000 paycheck from signing a client and thinking, what car can I buy with this? You want to think of, what can I put this money into that can itself be an asset, and then maybe that asset can buy me a car. You want to really reject the consumerism that everyone has, right? And it's not a bad thing. You just need to know that it's not your number one priority. You need to treat your time as scarce. What you need to do is understand that every single moment, especially when you're younger and you're not getting any younger, is going to be exponentially more value, whether that be value in skills or value in literal just compounding growth in your money. So you need to, again, make sure you're thinking that your time is scarce, because it's scarce and it's limited. What you need to do, though, is generally have an ideology that is oriented to long-term growth. People that say, that they just want to have fun are following the complete opposite of this advice, and you just need to live a little. Yes, but you can't fall into the trap of being short-term minded, right? And that's what we want to avoid. We don't necessarily want to be misers, but we also don't want to be reckless. And finally, just really seeing yourself as someone who grows aggressively. Be that guy who, no matter what, is going to push towards growth. And really, that's all it's going to take to get from $0 to $100,000. It's a lot less about strategy and math and more about just your everyday habits and focusing on growing on your skill set and just being a better person overall. So with that, I want to thank you all for watching, and I hope you gained some value with this video. And until next time, peace.